Howdy, y'all. It's Curious Raven. On this fine Tuesday, I'm going to read some haunted house stories today. Number 1. This happened 2 years ago in my old house. The thing is, I need to wake up every night to go to the bathroom, and every day I see this chair in the living room, sitting in front of the TV in the exact same position. Never gave it much attention before, but one day I woke up and I felt like I saw someone sitting there. I turned the lights on and no one was there. I thought I was just seeing things as I was sleepy and forgot about it. But now that we are moving, I saw the same thing again and repeatedly so much that I stopped going to drink some water after going to the bathroom. This is something I usually do not know what it was, but it's winter and a new area we moved to is extremely foggy. You wake up at 6 and go outside and you won't see anything. It's outside the city, and I'm a bit scared. So what should I do? And for context, I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe in demons. Number 2. I need someone to comment. On Wednesday the 17th, I woke up to blood coming from my toilet directly into my room. It was dripping into my room. It was not my family's blood, and my animals were in the kitchen. Animals consist of 3 dogs and 1 cat. Then on Thursday of the 18th, my parents heard footsteps in our kitchen. It was not my footsteps or my sister's footsteps. Then on Friday the 19th, I was on my phone at exactly 12. My Alexa started buffering. I listened to rain sounds as I sleep, like an old TV that was not connected to anything. I am really scared. I am baptized and I pray every night. I need help. Thanks. Number 3. Spooky ass shadow people exist. I don't have a pic or anything, but I wouldn't make this story up, as it's not so scary and is more mysterious. And I felt like the ghost wasn't bad if it were a ghost. So I was laying in bed when I had the urge to sit up and get some nicotine. In my old bedroom, like 5 or 6 years ago, I had sleep paralysis. Although I stayed in bed to hit my cig or whatever, I heard footsteps and stared at my doorway for a good 10 minutes, then brushing it off as if just being sleepy. But I was kind of just sitting there, debating on getting up in the middle of the night for water, when a fucking shadow man with a classy hat and a briefcase run up to my door, sit there and stare for about 30 seconds. I was in shock or awe, not wanting to spook it away or something. I just didn't move. And I eventually wanted to get up to see if I was seeing was real. But as I did, it turned around and walked away slowly, like it was trying to lead me somewhere. I couldn't sleep and stayed up all night. And this was when I was around 16 to 15 years old. Number 4. This is a bit bare bones compared to some of the stories on here. Last week, my wife and I were folding a mountain of laundry. As we were quietly folding, we both hear my son whistle. We don't think of it for a moment until I realize he is at his bio dad's this week. We both came to the realization that we heard our son's whistle while only myself and wife and 6-month napping daughter were at home. We look into his room where we heard it and nothing. We get back to folding and we both feel an eerie, I'm being watched feeling. My wife burns sage and does the get out thing. That evening we hear the doorbell ring, but no one was there. That's all I've experienced with this, but my wife seems to be a magnet for these things. As of late, she's been hearing me when I'm not home. The baby, when she's in daycare, She felt so vindicated that we both heard it. Number 5. When I was younger, I used to sleep with the TV on, to me being scared of the dark, but one day I decided to sleep without the TV on because I was trying to get used to being able to sleep in the dark. So I was asleep, but then I woke up to the sound of clicking noises in my room. It sounded like somebody clicking a pen over and over again. It was going on for a long time. For some reason, I couldn't move my body, but I was awake. It was like I was experiencing sleep paralysis, but I know I woke up that night because of the sound. But anyways, I couldn't move. For some reason, I got to move, and every time I moved, the clicking noise stopped. But it was every time I moved. When I moved or when I would take a deep breath, the sound kept getting closer and closer. But if it was somebody or something, I wouldn't been able to see since it was close or it was getting closer and closer. Then it stopped. Then it continued again till it got like so close to my ear to where I would think somebody was next to me. But I wouldn't have felt somebody on my bed or just in general. You can feel someone is next to you. Nothing. It was just the sound. But I slept the next day. Nothing was there, no sight of a pen, nothing. Or maybe I'm dumb and I'm just hearing stuff. Number 6. I'm not sure what to call this experience, so I've always just called it an echo. I used to live in a house that was built by my stepdad in the 70s. I moved in '03 to keep my mom company after he passed away unexpectedly. It was a good time for me as I was just separating from my husband. I had a 1 to 2 year old with me. I used to hear these baby cries in the night and panic and go rush in his room to find him sound asleep. The cries sounded bad, like a baby had been crying and crying for a long time. This would happen over and over for a year or so, and it eventually stopped. My mom could never hear it. Then years later, I remarried and we got pregnant. Quick. And my mom offered for us to stay living there. After my second child was born, I started to hear these phantom baby cries again. But this time my husband started to hear them too. We would hear the cries echoing through the house, think, oh my God, that sounds bad, and rush in there, only to find our baby sleeping. One time my mom was telling me stories from my stepdad. In the 80s, he's lived with his wife and 2 daughters. Apparently, the second daughter cried a lot as a baby, and they never knew what to do and would just leave her in the crib to cry for long periods of time. Now, this isn't a ghost story, because I've met his daughters. They're alive and well in Florida. Has anyone ever had experience like this? Number 7. I lived in a pretty big family home for 26 years. The house itself is about 34 years old. My parents built it. We were the only owners until we sold it. My grandma passed away when I was 7, and I think she often would visit us in the house. I can tell because she smoked, and we would smell cigs every now and then again. No one else in my family smoked, our friends don't smoke, and it wasn't all the time. Then I'd be sleeping and feel someone poking, then I'd be sleeping and feel someone poking my head. I initially chalked it up to my covers touching me, etc., but it happened even if I wasn't covered. I also felt like someone was resting their hands on mine. I had my own room at the time, so no other sibling was in there. I could often feel someone standing by my bed or by the door closet. It didn't always feel eerie, and it wasn't every day, but still, then. One night, I dropped my sister off at her friend's. She said she would call when she was ready to be picked up. I sat in my room alone, just playing on my computer, when a huge bang knock came crashing onto my bedroom door. It wasn't the floor settling, anyone downstairs, etc. I opened the door and no one was there. I was so scared. I drove to the store until my sister came home. Some things to note. Rubber bands would also randomly appear, another sign of my grandma. The neighborhood was not far from the ancient Native American burial ground. This all very well could also just be sleep paralysis and nothing at all. However, I will say I've always felt very connected. For example, before my grandmother passed, we were in her apartment getting her ready to go to the hospital. And when I looked out the window and saw a bunch of motorcycles and cars, no connection to those, they are vivid in my mind. I thought to myself, she's going to heaven. I didn't know she was even sick. I also saw a black and white version of my mom emerge from her bathroom closet when I was on the toilet. My mom is alive and was in her bed at the same time when I was using her restroom. Then a random dream about my brother-in-law getting in trouble in a very certain way, and the next day, he did. Nothing criminal, just personal trouble. Any thoughts? I'm going to give y'all a bonus story today. Number 8. When I started dating my wife, I was 15. And her stepdad gave me this rock that had a dragon carved into it. It was cool, actually, and was heavy. I took it home and placed it in my room inside my entertainment center. As time went by, it became difficult to get a good night's sleep. I would wake up constantly and have trouble getting back to sleep during this time. I had increasingly suicidal thoughts. I started withdrawing myself from my family. One day, I was watching my small nephew when I was sitting outside on the phone, and I was peering through the window to keep an eye on my nephew who was sleeping on the couch, when all of a sudden, a small dark shadow, about 4 feet tall, went from room to room. I immediately got chills and was afraid to go back inside. Another time, I was sleeping in my room, and I woke up to the shadow standing over me. I couldn't move or say anything. The moment I started praying, it descended into my bed, and I was able to move again. I got up and ran out of the room and fell asleep on the couch. One day, I was watching a program about hauntings, and they had mentioned how a demon attached itself to a doll. That's when it clicked on me that everything started happening once I got the rock dragon from my girlfriend's stepdad. I opened my entertainment center, and it was gone. I looked everywhere for it and never found it. But since it disappeared, everything stopped. I was myself again and no more shadow people or night terrors. There is one other small note, and I am not sure if it's related or not, but during this time, I developed type 2 diabetes. I always wondered if that had anything to do with it. That was a creepy ending to this video today. I hope everybody's doing okay. How was your weekend? Mine was good, I must say. I slept a lot. I wasn't feeling that great. I was having a lot of issues with my hips to the point where it was really hard for me to walk. So that's why Saturday's video was skipped. I'm very sorry, y'all. I'm always so transparent with you guys, and I want to tell you why and the truth of why things are not coming out and what's going on in my life. I love y'all so much. I will see y'all this Thursday. But until then, remember, it's scary out there. Please like and subscribe.
Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross